Welcome to the Heavenly Treasury broadcast, where we help believers achieve God's financial abundance for your life. I'm your host, Ron Turba, author of the Heavenly Treasury series on biblical finance, coming to you today with hopefully a topic that is going to bless you beyond your wildest dreams and get you to where you want to go and with what God has called you to do. So, again, if you're new to this channel, I will tell you this right now. We focus on increase financially with the way that the Lord wants you to increase, okay? And ultimately speaking, everything that we talk about when it comes to this channel, particularly when it comes to your finances, is built upon increase because that is our birthright, okay? This is definitely a spirit-filled Christian channel, so to speak, all right? But when you hear the word Christian, don't think of it like all the other, Christian this or Christian that. This is definitely going to be very different than most Christian items that you've ever seen. And that's okay, because my goal is to be set apart so that you hear the word and hear things that are going to help you with your life in a way that you never have before, ever, okay? And you're going to look at this and think, wait, this guy's a believer? Yeah, absolutely. Wait, he's a believer and he's talking to me about increase financially and doing better financially? Yeah, and not just saving and stewarding. We're talking about financial increase, okay? Meaning you make more this year than you did last year. Your net worth is better a year from now than it is today. Your business is better today than it was yesterday and the day before and the month before and the year before. That's what we talk about here. And we talk about how you can do that through the word and things that you can do, okay? So a little bit of background about me, okay? I am not a minister in the traditional sense, okay? I don't have a ministry. I'm not called to full-time ministry. At least the Lord has not spoken me to do that. But I am in the private marketplace. And my goal to you is to bring you the word in a way that's going to help you and bring you skill sets that are going to help you increase starting right now. Not tomorrow, not next year, not when you feel like it, now. That's my goal with this channel. And if that appeals to you, by all means, keep going. If it doesn't appeal to you and you're happy going backwards financially, you're happy with inflation eating away at everything you have, by all means, find another channel that's going to make you feel good in your misery. Because that's not what we do here. What we do here is to help you get further along with your life and to help you improve every area of your life. My goal is not to help you increase financially so that next week you're in divorce court. That's not my goal. Because if that's the case, we have a problem. And I talk a little bit about that here because, again, I haven't been married for 50 years or decades. I'm certainly not a marriage expert by any. My wife and I have been married for 8 going on 9 years. Not all of them have been smooth, but I can tell you I wouldn't have it any other way with anybody else. That I can promise you. And again, she'll watch this at some point, and I hope she agrees with the same way. Okay? Again, it hasn't always been smooth, but it has been worth it. That's for sure. And whatever you're doing right now, I want you to be able to know that you can increase whatever situation that you have. If you're looking at me and you have one arm, believe me, God's laws still apply to you. If you're in Nigeria or Cambodia or Laos or some other country that is traditionally that they've referred to as third world, or you don't have any economic opportunities that we do in America or Canada or France or some other more developed country, this is for you too. Because I don't care where you are. I don't care what your age is. I don't care what your gender is. That's right. I don't. Neither does the word. The word works for you regardless of where you are. Okay? And that's what I want you to understand. I don't care if you're living under a rock right now. I don't care if you're literally under a bridge. Literally, I don't care if you're living under a bridge and you're bumming Wi-Fi off of Starbucks to be able to watch this. I don't care. It's going to work for you too. Now, am I saying that you should go steal Wi-Fi? I'm not advocating that, but I'm just telling you, listen, the word's going to work for you. The skill sets are going to work for you. It's all going to work for you. You just have to accept it, put it in your spirit, build your faith with it, and then take action next to it. That's my goal for you, is to bring you skill sets to be able to help you increase, okay? And again, I've been able to increase financially consistently throughout my life, all right? We have had a couple of rough patches, but for the most part, over time, it has been better, and it's all due to the Lord, by all means. And I will tell you that right now, it's all due to Him. All right, yes, my hands were the ones that had to put to work. Okay, my hands had to go to work, but I'm telling you, nothing I have is without God. Nothing I have, not even this camera that I'm looking at, not even the setup that I have, the microphone I'm speaking into, all the lighting that I have to make this broadcast professional. Believe me, I promise you, none of that would be possible without God. Because again, his word says that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And again, this is not going to be just feeding scriptures at you from 30 minutes to 45 minutes to an hour, however long this chooses to be, whoever chooses to join, however much we interact. All right, I love this interaction with people who come on, even just first-time guests. Believe me, I'm happy for returning guests. I'm also happy for first-time guests. It's always good to get a good, fresh perspective for sure. And I'm thankful for all of you that have followed me and committed to being able to be a part of this channel. Okay? Because my goal for you is to have you listen to the channel, get some skill sets, maybe tweak your mind a little bit, and go out and conquer what the Lord has called you to conquer. And I want to hear your story. That's my goal, is to get stories. That I know that my efforts are not fruitless. That something is going on and the Lord is working in your behalf. Even if you're not a believer right now. If you're not a believer and you're watching this, this is definitely for you too. Because I'm telling you, when you hear me, I hope that I'm giving you a better perspective about Christianity, about the Bible, about God, about Jesus, than anybody else you have. Because a lot of you have been hurt by the church and you want nothing to do with them. You want nothing to do with them. And I can totally understand that. Believe me, I've been hurt as a believer by other believers significantly worse than I would ever dream of. I mean, I would say that believers have spoken death over me, my wife, our family, more than non-believers. And that's a shame. And my goal is to help change that and change your perspective about that as well. Okay? So I want you to think about what you do for a living right now. Okay? What do you do for a living? A lot of you, since I'm streaming on Twitch, that's one of the platforms I'm streaming on right now. A lot of you are streamers. Technically, you're a business owner because you own your stream. Now, I want you to start walking in that as well. Like, yes, when you turn that camera on and hit the start streaming button, guess what? You're a business owner. You own that stream. It's your content. And I want you to think about that and take pride in that. Wait, I'm not a business owner. I'm just talking to 3 people. Well, guess what? 3 is more than 0, okay? And you think Joe Rogan started out by just having 15 million people watch him all day? You think he just started out with an army of staff? No, he didn't. But he was committed. He continued pushing forward. He was humble. He looked at himself and said, how can I get better? And guess what? Now he has one of, if not the top broadcast in America. And one of the best worldwide as well. And people love listening to him for 3 hours. 3 hours. He has a conversation and talks to people for 3 hours. Most people these days don't have an attention span that lasts more than 10 seconds. They have a reel that says something funny or something silly, and off to the next one. They don't have an attention span for longer than 20 seconds. It's, I'm scrolling through Facebook. Oh, that's a nice video. I can only watch for 5 seconds. Next. Okay? How many of you do that? It's just something catches your eye. A thumbnail catches your eye. A thumbnail that obviously has nothing to do with the video itself, but just sort of like clickbait, so to speak. Again, I know who I'm talking to. Okay? But at the same time, I also know that there is a deep desire to be able to work and do things that you're supposed to achieve beyond and have that attention span that lasts a little bit longer. Okay? So, again, remember, as a business owner, as a streamer, you have to think about what sets you apart. Okay? What sets you apart? Give me one moment. One moment here. Okay? Yeah, what sets you apart? That's what we want to talk about today. And I'm telling you this because the Lord gave me a few things that are going to set me apart and help me work on what I need to work on and help the business endeavors that I have grow to even better. And as I was, again, starting the year off, humbling myself and trying to get the better direction of where the Lord wants me to go with my endeavors, okay, He gave me a few things to work on, okay? Thankfully, He continues to speak to me, guide me through His Word, and I'm going to give you part of that today. But I wanted you to think about this before I begin about what's going to set me apart is what sets you apart. What sets you apart? And what's going to keep you going and increasing? Okay? Something has to set you apart beyond your service, beyond your product. No matter how good of a product or service you have, I can promise you, even if it's the best in the marketplace, if you have the best stream possible right now, if you're the funniest comedian on planet Earth, there's always somebody better that's going to come up that's going to be better than you. And that's okay. All right. But you got to have something that sets you apart beyond just the physical skill set. What sets you apart? So if you're a streamer right now, what sets your stream apart? Think about this. What sets your stream apart? For me, what sets my stream apart is focusing on increase biblically from a private sector perspective, not a ministry perspective. That's what sets me apart. And that's my goal, to be set apart, to be used mightily by him to be able to focus on that key. That's what sets my broadcast apart. So what sets your broadcast apart? Okay? And again, if there's a certain video game that you like playing and you're streaming it, what sets it apart from all the other streamers that are playing that video game? Is it your skill set in that video game? Okay? Because I guarantee you there's somebody with a better skill set. So what's going to set you apart? It can't just be your skill set. And that's the focus I want you to have today. Every successful business that I have seen, whether it's a business of 100, 1,000, 10,000, all of them have something that sets them apart beyond just their physical abilities or their products and services. Something sets them apart. So for those of you who like chicken, Chick-fil-A is obviously a very popular restaurant. They have a faith-based ownership, okay? Started by Truett Cathy and his family, and now his successors, his descendants are running that business, okay? What set them apart? Was it the chicken? You could say it was the chicken, but ultimately speaking, people did not return just for the chicken. They returned for the service that accompanied the chicken, okay? And for him, if you listen to Truett Cathy, the thing is he chose to have him set himself apart was a good name is better than the great riches. And that's a Bible verse, okay? Maybe I didn't get it exactly correct, but a good name is more preferable to great riches. That's what he did. He wanted his name to stand out. And how do you do that? By coupling good chicken. Again, is it the best organic, perfect chicken? Probably not. But when you accompany it with the service that you get from the Chick-fil-A employees, yes, it sets it apart. To the point where they're open 6 days a week. They have no 24-hour restaurants. And they're in the top 5 in sales of all fast food chains nationwide. That's pretty good on 6 days a week with no 24-hour restaurants. That's really good. So again, he's got a few things that he did with that business that set it apart. A few things, for example, I believe that every single owner of their Chick-fil-A has to physically work in that restaurant. That, I believe, is part of it. So there's things like that set it apart as well. Because if you own a Burger King, you could literally collect a royalty check every single quarter and never once step foot in that restaurant, if you want to call it a restaurant. Never step foot in that establishment, ever. Okay? So there's got to be something beyond the service that you provide or the product that you provide that's going to set you apart. Because I'm telling you, if you're trying to be the best product or the best service on the marketplace, and that's all you're focusing on to try and increase financially in the private marketplace, you're going to struggle. You're going to have a lot of these. You're going to have a lot of ups and downs. A lot of ups and downs. Not a lot of constant increase. Okay? So that's what I want to focus on for this particular series that I'm going to be talking about, that God gave me, what's going to set me apart. And hopefully that's going to give you some inspiration, okay, on what's going to set you apart. What sets you apart, even if you're an employee right now, which I don't recommend long term. I don't, okay? And we talk about why on this broadcast quite a bit. All right, just to give you a 30-second blurb on why we don't do that. If you've ever read Psalm 23, it's the... if I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. That verse, that book, okay? The verse immediately following that valley of the shadow of death verse says, "Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over." If you're an employee, there is a lid on your cup that your boss says you can only earn so much. Okay? That's why on this broadcast we recommend that and really just advocate that your final place in the marketplace is not an employee. It's not an employee, okay? I want to promise you that. You're never going to get to the best place that you possibly can as an employee. Very rare exceptions occur, but for the most part, it's never going to be an employee. Okay? Ever. So, why are we talking about this? Because something has to set you apart beyond your skill set and your product and service. So I'm going to give you, starting now and moving forward, the skills, the things, the pillars that God gave me to really focus on in my business endeavors and my wife's business endeavors and our conglomeration as a whole. So what I'm going to give you today is pillar number one. He gave me 3 pillars to focus on. 3 pillars. Number 1, the first pillar that he gave me is communication. Communication is what's going to set me apart in the marketplace. And the entities and companies that we run are going to set me apart. Okay, that's what he gave me to focus on. Now, I'm not perfect. I can promise you that. You can hear a few things that, again, I could be a much smoother talker. One of the things, believe it or not, that I do on a not so often occasion is I go back and watch Barack Obama's 2004 speech to the Democratic National Convention. That is, in my opinion, the gold standard of how to speak. He is the man literally got to the office, the Oval Office, in large part, primarily due to how he spoke, among other things. But the way that man speaks is phenomenal. And if I ever want to improve my communication, okay, and how to properly communicate, especially to a crowd, I'm gonna watch that. And again, we don't talk politics here. We don't on this broadcast. We don't, because politics is not going to affect you or where God wants you to go. It's not. Until you get to the very top of your profession, then you have to pay attention. Other than that, for most of you, you are not at the very top yet. But when you do, you're going to have to pay attention. And believe me, if you're there, send me a note, and I will promise you I will do a broadcast on that for you, specifically for you. Okay? But since most of you are not, that's why we don't focus on it. But again, I look at human beings, and I look at trying to get the best and what I can learn out of those human beings. Because I can promise you this: there have been 47 presidents, in American history. Okay, Donald Trump got elected 45 and 47. Grover Cleveland was also somebody who got elected to 2 non-consecutive terms. I believe those are the only 2 individuals that ever accomplished that feat. So all in all, 45 men have become American presidents. And if you're going to take one of those men, being Barack Obama, and never look at anything that he has done because you don't like him or you don't, for whatever reason, you're missing out. And again, that's going to ruffle a lot of feathers, particularly for those of you who voted for somebody who's diametrically opposite of Barack Obama and Donald Trump. Okay? But the man can speak. You cannot deny that man can speak very, very well and very, very eloquently, even if it's a teleprompter to a group of 7-year-olds, okay? Which he did. He went to an elementary school and spoke on a teleprompter, speaking to elementary kids. Hey, to each his own. I don't know. Maybe he had to get the lunch menu right. I don't know. But hey, the guy can speak. So whenever I want to give a speech or a talk to a lot of people that are in the room, and by lot, I mean, to the point where there's so many people that you can't really, it's not really interactive, okay? I'm gonna watch that video. It's his 2004 speech to the Democratic National Convention, okay? That's the gold standard, in my opinion, on speaking. In terms of the eloquence, the verbose, the inflections in somebody's voice, the body language, everything. That's perfect. That's the way I look at it. So whenever I do that, that's what I'm looking at. And so again, that has all to do with communication. So the scriptures that the Lord gave me to focus on when it comes to communication are these 2. Okay? Whoops, that is not right. Let me do this. That's not good. That's not good. Let's go with that. Nope, that's not it. There we go. Perfect. All right. So this is scripture number 1 that he gave me. Again, that's the beauty of being your own producer on your own show. It's marvelous. I love it. It's fun. It's not so fun. Sometimes it's intriguing. For those of you who do produce your own show, I hope you enjoy it, because I certainly do. Okay, but communication, number one. This is what he gave me, and this is Luke 15. This is going to be Luke 15. Okay, so that's what I'm gonna look at is Luke 15. Okay. And so what this means is this is the parable that Jesus is talking about two men who have a large inheritance to them. One of whom said, "Father, I want my inheritance now," even though his father wasn't dead and ready to pass on his wealth. But he said, "I want it now." He squandered it all, ended up going to a very rough place. In fact, went to go feed pigs and be with the pig farmers. He went from being an inheritance and wealthy and spending everything to now being a pig farmer. That's a problem. And it's a very humbling experience. But what right here is going to show you is the communication that he had with his father when he returned literally penniless and smelling like pig shit. Sorry, YouTube's going to crack me for that one. That's okay. Pig feces, if you want to call it. Okay? All right? So, that's what this is. Right? And so what this is saying is, I'm going to focus on verse 21, okay? But you can see right here, when his father saw him, he was moved with compassion and ran, fell on his neck and kissed him. Okay? Why? Because his son was very humble. Again, any father who sees his son squander an inheritance that they worked literally their entire life for, is not someone that would really just over time immediately say, you know what? I'm going to forgive you. It's tough. It is. Especially when you squander your family name. But this is what the father did. And then the father ran and kissed him on the neck. But here's the key. This is the communication part that the Lord gave me. And his son said to him, "Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you, and I am no longer worthy to be called your son." Why is that important? Because that verse right there shows humility. That verse shows clear and concise behavior. And it shows truthfulness in a way that most men or women or people would not be able to do, especially in front of a client. Okay? Most people, when they work with a client and they mess things up, believe me, every single business, every single servant, every single business owner will mess something up. It's not going to be perfect. The question is, what do you do to rectify it? A lot of people, if you're at a low level of business, what you're going to do is you're going to try and hide it. You're going to try and hide it. And then if your client or customer finds out, you're going to deny it. That is a very low level. And that's what I don't want you to do, because that's not what this son did. This son could have blamed everybody under the sun, but he blamed himself first. He said, you know what? I didn't do right. I'm here to make it right. And this is what I'm going to do to make it right. That's communication. That's part one of two of the communication that the Lord wanted me to do. Okay? And that's to humble myself, to be honest and clear and concise, and tell and be fruitful and truthful in ways that most other people would not be able to do, and do it in an eloquent fashion. Okay? Without bemeaning yourself. Okay? That's the key. That's the key for this. All right? And you can see right there at the very end, the father comes out, just paraphrasing this, says, "Let's throw a party, let's eat a fattened calf, because my son was dead and alive again, and it was lost, but now he began to rejoice." Okay? And everybody was happy, except the older son, but that's definitely for another topic. Okay? But you can see right there, the key is the communication. It's humble, it's clear, it's concise, it's solution oriented. All right? That's the key. That's the key. Okay? And then number two that the Lord gave me is Proverbs 18:23, which is right here. The poor speaks beseechingly, meaning that they're wobbling, they're wavering, they're not really sure. That's what beseechingly means. It means unsure, unclear. But the rich answers fiercely. I want to be rich, so I'm going to answer fiercely. So I'm going to answer humbly, clearly, concisely, solution-oriented, but fiercely. Meaning I know what I'm talking about. I have conviction when I speak to a client. I have conviction when I speak to a customer. I know where I'm going. I know what the service that I'm going to provide for you. I know what I can do. And I know what I can do for you. and your entity and your business and you personally, all of that coming across boldly and fiercely. Now, you don't talk to a client like you're gonna eat their lunch. Okay? You're not gonna talk to them like you're an MMA fighter. You're not. Okay? But you are gonna be bold and conviction. It's conviction is what it is. So it's humble, it's clear, it's concise, it's solution oriented, it's truthful, and it's bold. All of that wrapped in is a pillar of communication that the Lord gave me that I'm supposed to operate in. And when you watch this broadcast, I can promise you this. You can tell that guy believes what he says. You may not like what I say, but you can tell that I believe what I say. I believe what I say wholeheartedly and truthfully. Okay? So that's the first pillar that the Lord gave me. So I want you to think right now of what pillar is going to set you apart. Set you apart. And all that, again, I'll get to pillars 2 and 3 in a moment, and you're going to be surprised at what they are. Okay? All right? But you have to build those 3 pillars on action. And the action that the Lord gave me was Luke 6:49. All right? And this is, but the one hearing and not doing. Okay? That means somebody who's not taking action. That means somebody who's not taking action. All right? Is like a man who built a house on the earth without a foundation, against which the stream burst and immediately it fell. And the ruin of the house was great. Meaning somebody who hears and does not do is somebody who's going to fail. And the ruin of their house is going to be phenomenal. Meaning people are going to look at it and think, wow, that guy really screwed up. That's what it means to not take action. So it doesn't matter what pillars you are, you have to take action. So if you're a streamer and your last stream sucked and you didn't get a lot of viewers, guess what? Keep going. Keep going. Keep moving. Don't give up. If that's what the Lord's called you to do, you keep going. I don't care. You think, again, bring it back to Joe Rogan, the gold standard of streaming and podcasting right now. Do you think that guy had a lot of episodes where nobody watched him? Absolutely. So don't give up. Oh my God, nobody watched me. Well, too bad. Keep going. Keep freaking going. Keep going. All right? Eventually, you're consistent. You provide value. People get their lives changed. People are entertained by you. They'll start telling other people, and you'll start getting followers and subs and all the marketing and the ads and all that. Okay? So that's what I want you to focus on right now. Right now is communication. That's what the Lord gave me. So I want you to think of right now, what sets you apart? What sets your business apart? Okay? I want you to start thinking about that. And if you're not a believer, well, guess what? I can promise you that there are tips and tricks in that Bible that are going to help you achieve success beyond your wildest dreams. So if that's you right now and you're not really sure, my first bet would be to get the book in the link below. All right, it's going to give you a good action step. It's going to give you a good guidance. It's going to give you a good roadmap on where you need to go as a believer. If you're not a believer, believe me, there's a link below called Get Saved. And you go to that link and say that prayer, you can now step into being a believer and being in a life that you could never dream of. Okay? But for those of you who are believers and you think, I don't know where to go, I don't know what these pillars are, what I'm supposed to be doing, what sets me apart, the best thing for you to do is to get the book, and it's on fear of the Lord. It's going to help you hear from the Lord. It's going to help you get a good roadmap, get your assignment, and keep going where you're supposed to be going with that assignment. Okay? And all the proceeds go to feeding the poor. I don't take a dime from that. And it's me sowing into the kingdom. That's one of the ways that I like to sow into the kingdom with my time, talent, and treasure is that book. So I don't take anything from it. Again, my last royalty check just came in the first week of February. Every single dime went to feeding the hungry. It's a organization started by a man of God named Lester Sumrall. And again, it's a great organization that I was turned on to by a few well-known evangelists that I trust and ministers. So that's where I'm giving my almsgiving from the book. Every single dime right now goes to them. 10% to my church, 90% to them. Okay? So again, my goal is to get you on the right path with the assignment that the Lord has for you. And that's the goal. Because why is that important? Because the increase that you will achieve beyond your wildest dreams, beyond anything you could possibly imagine, will only come from the assignment the Lord has for you. It will only come from the assignment the Lord has for you. Okay? So, with that being said, I want to thank every single one of you for watching, for joining, and hopefully you got some great value out of this. We will talk about another pillar or two next time on the next broadcast. Thank you so much and have a very blessed day.